I'm not much for words, sir, but I know my way around a kitchen. The solitary cattleman gazed at her, then replied, You've got the job, and this is your sanctuary. Arizona Territory, dying light of August 1879. The crimson sun began its descent beyond the sage-covered ridges, painting elongated shadows across the boundless prairie that rolled like whispered secrets toward the distant mountains. Desert wind caught the ochre earth along the rutted trail, spinning it into miniature whirlwinds that danced across wagon tracks and patches of bleached grass scorched amber by months of unforgiving sun. Evening had finally broken the day's brutal heat, but the atmosphere still wrapped around bare skin like a threadbare blanket that wouldn't release its hold. Samuel Harrison stood perfectly still on the sun-weathered veranda of his homestead, his worn leather boots firmly planted against the silvered wooden planks, muscled arms folded across his broad chest as he observed the desert breeze finally surrender to twilight calm. He had labored since daybreak, repairing the corroded hinges on the weathered barn gate that had been protesting for countless days, when he detected it, a sound so faint he nearly dismissed it. A rap against wood, neither forceful nor insistent, just steady enough to confirm someone's presence. He pivoted slowly, golden dust particles spiraling in the honey-colored light surrounding him. At the very border of his property, poised as though she might crumble at any instant from weariness and starvation, stood a young lady. Perhaps 19, possibly 20 summers at most, gaunt as a sapling, clothed in boots so deteriorated they barely protected her feet. A weathered wrap draped her slight frame, so tattered that its edges fluttered like gossamer threads in the evening air. Clasped in her small, calloused palms, she held an iron cooking vessel as though it contained her most precious treasures. She offered no smile or calculated appeal. She made no entreaties or desperate gestures. Though her voice wavered with dehydration and fatigue, her eyes remained unwavering and honest when she spoke those straightforward words, I'm not much for words, sir, but I know my way around a kitchen. Samuel remained silent initially. He examined her thoroughly, observing how her lips were cracked and parched from exposure to elements, the way her legs quivered beneath her faded dress yet refused to give way completely. How her palms bore the marks of difficult labor yet still cradled that ancient pot as though it were the final treasured memory of her departed mother. His sun-lined forehead creased as he absorbed every aspect of her desperate circumstances. What do they call you? He inquired finally, his tone gravelly from years of conversing primarily with livestock and solitude. Rose, she responded, gentle as a murmured blessing carried on desert wind. He peered beyond her fragile silhouette, along the vacant path that meandered back toward civilization. No cart, no beast of burden, no traveling companion, merely settling earth and the fading radiance of evening's approach. No indication of how she had managed this journey unaccompanied. Family somewhere, he asked, though something in her expression already provided the answer. She shook her head once, a solitary, conclusive gesture that spoke of devastating loss. He studied her bare fingers wrapped around the vessel's weathered grip. The rim showed smoke stains embedded deep in its surface, evidence of more campsite meals than proper hearth cooking, more survival than comfort. For an extended moment that stretched between them like the vast wilderness itself, only silence passed along with the soft groaning of aged timber shifting in the breeze. Then he moved aside, clearing the pathway to his dwelling and his existence. You've got the job, he stated simply, then added with a subdued tone that resembled surrender to forces beyond his control, and this is your sanctuary. Rose's shoulders visibly relaxed, not in capitulation, but like someone finally releasing an overwhelming burden they had borne across impossible distances and through unimaginable hardships. She advanced on unsteady limbs, her deteriorated boots scarcely audible against the wooden deck planks. He made no gesture to assist her or claim her belongings. He posed no additional inquiries about her history or situation. She passed him at the threshold, her gaze swiftly surveying the porch, the solid door, the dim recesses, absorbing this newfound refuge with the cautious awareness of someone who had learned that safety could vanish without warning. She entered the dwelling like someone carefully stepping into a half-forgotten vision of belonging. Within, the structure was orderly yet unmistakably frigid, permeated with the distinctive void that accompanies a home where joy has been absent far too long. The furnishings were minimal and utilitarian, no blossoms adorned the spaces, no gentle touches mellowed the stark surfaces. A tarnished kettle rested abandoned on the stove's rear burner, and the stone fireplace was meticulously maintained but obviously hadn't experienced warmth during countless solitary months. She hesitated at the entrance to the central chamber, turning partially toward him with uncertainty. "Where might I rest?" she asked softly. Samuel gestured toward a narrow corridor leading to the homestead's rear. "There's a bed in the back quarters. Linens are fresh. Clean water awaits in the wash basin. Come morning we'll discuss duties and arrangements. Tonight, you nourish yourself and find peace." She acknowledged once, a motion of profound appreciation, and vanished down the shadowed passageway like a spirit finally discovering tranquility. Samuel remained solitary in his front chamber for some time longer, listening to the sounds of her establishing herself, gazing through the glass as the sun completed its journey behind the remote peaks. He surveyed his modest ranch, the struggling fields that battled each growing season, 2 elderly cattle, a poultry shelter partially collapsed and requiring urgent attention, and the perpetual quiet that had endured through excessive harsh winters and isolated summers. Then he returned inside, secured the heavy door behind him with finality, and for the first time in longer than memory allowed, he felt no need to barricade himself against the world beyond his threshold.